The fact that quicksand can be spontaneous is a weird sciencey fact that boggles my mind. Growing up watching movies and cartoons, I definitely thought that quicksand was going to be a much bigger problem I encountered far more often than the 0 times in my life I have ended up encountering it so far. Also with stop, drop, and roll and the way that they pounded that into our heads, I thought I was going to be on fire a lot more than I have been in my life, but that's besides the point. Anyway, it turns out quicksand is in fact real, however not as human swallowing as Indiana Jones would have led you to believe. However, it turns out that there is a type of quicksandish phenomenon that's even crazier than the never-ending story type quicksand and can be far more devastating. And this phenomenon is called liquefaction. Liquefaction is where the seemingly solid ground you're standing on, or your house is built on, or your car is driving on, suddenly becomes not solid. It just spontaneously basically turns into quicksand and swallows stuff, like your car. And to make matters worse, this phenomenon usually only happens during earthquakes, so not only is the ground just shaking all around you, it starts eating you as well. But how does one end up in a situation where they are playing such a high-stakes game of the floor is lava? Well, that starts with sand, because, quicksand. Basically, you have to have a loosely packed granular soil, like sand or gravel, that is very close to the water table. When I say loosely packed, it can still be packed heavy enough where you can build roads and houses on it, which is, where you end up with problems. But it needs to be loose and porous enough for water to easily permeate it. And then when you have all of those conditions and you apply stress, and I can't think of anything much more stressful than the earth literally quaking, the water that is permeated this porous soil increases in pressure, and the water then starts taking the full load of the ground pressure. And like a shape-shifting magic trick, it instantly turns the ground into a liquid, or at least a substance that behaves like one. And then all of the cars and roads and houses that were previously sitting on solid ground need to learn to sink or swim real quick like. Now this phenomenon, as you can imagine, can take a mild or medium earthquake and turn it into something that is absolutely devastating. This has happened, devastating cities in Alaska and Japan in 1964 and San Francisco in 1989. However, before you add being swallowed by the street to your list of nightmares, you can take comfort in the fact that it is a relatively rare occurrence, and thankfully this is one of those rare times humans seem to have learned from their mistakes and have taken extra steps to mitigate those risks even further. Building codes in places with earthquakes now require builders to take liquefaction into consideration, and construction methods have been developed to help prevent major damage from the phenomenon in the future. But the fact that a little stress from some shaking can suddenly turn solid soil into street swallowing soup, well, that is pretty mind-boggling.